And welcome to it, the 11th SA AIDS Conference right here at Devon ICC. And my name is Nkosi from Oram Pop and Chats. Thank you so much for joining us. And for this particular conversation, as we reflect on the conference, I am joined by Acting Chief Director of HIV Programs in the National Department of Health, and also she is the co-chair of the 11th SA AIDS Conference, Dr Thato Chidarikire. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good afternoon, P.
How are you
Thank you for inviting me. I'm getting tired now, but it's been it's been hectic. It's been I've been filled with anxiety. I'm happy, I'm anxious, but it's all good.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for making time, Doc. So it's the 11th SA conference. A lot has been happening, like you've been saying. I mean, it's a day today, and I think we're left with 2 more days to go. Let's talk about highlights, or highlights of conversations that have come up with this conference, the 11th one. Yeah.
I want to be inclined to move towards like maybe a track that talks to young people, apart from the village on the other side. But a track of youth is very critical at this point, not only because it's June now, but because the young people actually like bearing the brunt of the epidemic. They have a lot of other social ills. We talk about unplanned pregnancies, teenage pregnancies, staying in school, gender-based violence, HIV, STIs, and all of that. So there's a lot of sessions that are, in fact, we have a dedicated track just for young people. And then key populations as well. And you may have heard this morning, we actually in the plenary, we had a panel discussion where we had different individuals, but we also had our own Helen, who was talking to key populations as well. And we have symposium that is talking to key populations. We have a satellite. So really, as we say, we leave no one behind. And we try as much as possible to be as inclusive as possible, so that, especially for those who are disproportionate in terms of service provision, which is really basically our key populations. Most
definitely. So then those would be the 2, and you're touching on key populations, but I want to look at the impact of it all, especially of key population programs. How well are key population programs, within the 11th SA AIDS conference shining through? Are they well highlighted, do you think? Because, we do see the impact in communities, but when it comes to this conference, are they well highlighted? Do we see them visible, especially?
I feel like they are relatively well highlighted. When you say visible, it becomes a bit tricky. Because, when you talk about key populations and you talk about what puts them there, it becomes a bit difficult to visualize when you say visibility, per se. But in terms of inclusion in the programs, totally visible from the very beginning. We had a speaker, Ms. Steve Bitsike, who's the co-chairperson of SANA, who was representing the whole sector, LGBTQI, and key populations in general. So I think in terms of the response, the conference as well as the country response really does respond to key populations challenges. All our speakers, our UNAs, UNAs is very inclusive as well. Our UN speakers were also talking to our key populations. So I would say yes.
Yes, definitely. We are. For me, HIV still remains a topic or a conversation that continuously needs to be had, or we just have to continue having. And the conference actually proves that HIV still needs to be spoken about. I want to talk to 2 points. One, that the conference proves that it still needs to be talking about, but also we're looking at the 2030 goal, and that sort of like juxtaposed to the new infections, which for me, when I reflect, they are somewhat showing, I won't say a threat, but they are a challenge to us getting to 2030. What are your views on that?
Yes, when you look at overall, new infections are on a downward trajectory. But instead of steeply going down, they're almost like, not, But on a relative basis, they are relatively going down. Very, very small, but yes. And that, again, as we said in our opening session, in our opening speech in there, that basically undermines our 2025 and 2030 goals. Because we're not going down as much as we should. And if we are to really fight HIV or even AIDS as a health threat, by 2030, we need to not just manage infections, but also manage acquisition, not just transmission,
Yeah.
but acquisition, as well as those who are living with HIV as well. Because for those who are already living with HIV, is go on treatment. Treatment is also prevention, right? So treatment as prevention, but those who are still HIV negative will stay negative.
Yeah.
And if we really are not managing that well, the infection rates, then we won't win.
Yeah, we won't. Shouldn't we be then amplifying prevention as treatment more, and perhaps maybe that would set us to where we are going, because that was going to be my last question, to say, yes, we've had the conference, yes, we've had the sessions, the speakers, etc., all these plenaries, but where are we going? Shouldn't then we amplify the treatment as prevention conversation more often, or implementations, or say maybe programs to that more to set us apart?
We are actually trying to amplify treatment as prevention. I mean, don't get me wrong, we don't want to have a nation taking treatment, but we are actually amplifying that because, in terms of our prevention interventions, what has been proven to work is condoms for some people, PrEP for some people, and then obviously the MMC is just for men. So we have to have a combination of interventions that actually would work. What works for me may not work for you for different reasons. But what we want to say is, if I'm not empowered enough to negotiate condom use with my partner, then I'll take PrEP. But then again, I also know that PrEP will prevent me from acquiring HIV, but then there are other STIs, and there's also unplanned pregnancy if I'm a woman. So treatment, when I'm already positive, yes, there has been a lot of discussions on you from the beginning, like our minister talked about it. It has been actually launched it through the mayor. So we are moving towards that. What we always say as a department is that, and you would have heard the minister saying that, err on the side of caution. Don't throw a statement that says you can't transmit, because it may actually, reverse the gains. So we don't want that.
In closing, we are looking at, and I know it's quite a while, but there are interventions and programs in between until we come back for the 12th annual SA AIDS conference. But your message in closing, as perhaps co-chair, what would you say until then?
One big thing that I would continue to punt is prevention is and always will be better than cure. Even if one is already HIV positive, living with the virus, we can prevent transmission. So even in there is still, an element of prevention. And then I would say to everybody, let's not leave anyone behind, because we do not want to reverse the gains in anything. So I think that's what I would say.
I really appreciate your time speaking to us on this 11th SA AIDS conference. For more of this, make sure that you follow them on social media platforms and check out different satellites that are still going on. We're still left with 2 days, and let's continue having the HIV conversation. If you are not here, you should be here. If you've missed it, well, the 12th one is definitely coming up, and we cannot wait to engage you further on this one. From myself, Nkosi, and Dr. Thato Chidarikire, thank you so much, and good afternoon.
Thank you very much.